Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about Meghan Markle, which is surprising to me, mainly because I typically don't very much care about the royals, if we want to call them that. But every so often something occurs where I'm like, okay, this is odd, this is worth commenting on. The thing that is odd and worth commenting on right now is that, mind you, I don't follow any hashtags. I don't follow or like or do anything with any type of royal content. The most I've done is bookmark it when I decide to make a video. But when I decide to make a video, it means that that content has been fed to me algorithmically enough where I'm aware of what's going on. Because for the most part, like I said, I'm not particularly interested in what's going on with Meghan Markle, Harry, blah, blah, blah. The thing that came up this time, the whole concept of her faking her pregnancies is old news. There are plenty of conspiracy theorists out there who will show pictures of her side, of her front, and then point out inconsistencies. They'll call it the moon bump. They'll notice that the bump is bigger or smaller at within hours of the same day. So I do think that there is a lot of unhinged behavior out there. The video that has come out recently that's been flooding my timeline that has made me want to discuss it. Also because here, I'll show you a screenshot of what the news looks like today in terms of this baby bump video. Now, this is the baby bump video, then I'll show you what the headlines were. She's in what looks like a hospital room. She's dancing around trying to allegedly induce labor. We'll talk about what the conspiracy theories are there, but here are the first few news headlines that came out based on that. Meghan posts hilarious video dancing in hospital delivery room. Meghan Markle's vulgar and vile twerking maternity, whatever. This is it. Meghan achieved peak cringe. And then there's the last one, which says, shaking what little class she has left. Meghan posts video of blah, blah. And some of these are from like Sky News Australia, mind you. These are not just like random tabloids, okay? So anyway, based on that video, people started coming out and saying that her bump looks weird, which at this point is old news. To be noted also, this is when allegedly she was about to give birth to Lilibet, which Lilibet is 4 now, and the reason this video was posted recently and why it's been in the news again is because it was Lilibet's 4th birthday and they put it as a kind of a celebration of her birth. People started going into full-on conspiracy mode of like how the bump looks, right? And it looks odd. Granted, a lot of people think it looks odd because there should be like a baby heart monitor under, which are like these 2 straps from what I've understood, and that obviously will change what the bump looks like. More than anything, people don't understand how she's moving like that with the alleged back pain she should be having, with the alleged potential pelvic floor pain. And I'm not an expert, I'm just telling you what people are saying online. So I can't confirm or deny any of that, having never been pregnant and not being a doctor. That being said, what is interesting about all of this is, first of all, who cares to a degree? And when I say who cares to a degree, what I mean by that is I can understand wanting truth from people who used to be in power. Now, whether you think they're still in power or not is also a different discussion, because granted, they're technically not quote-unquote royals anymore, but they still have pull, especially with publicity. Like, the news is often talking about them regardless, even if they're not part of the royal family anymore, quote-unquote. It's interesting in that way. But the other thing is also that aside from having publicity pull, it's what is all of this implying? And I think that that's really where the conspiracy starts to thicken, is that, okay, well, if we go down the road that a lot of theorists are going down, which is, okay, if they're lying about this pregnancy, what else are they lying about? Why would they fake a pregnancy? Why would they not just admit to adoption or whatever? What is the long con and what is it for, right? Because realistically, if we're going to go down conspiracy theory lane, imagine for 9 months, or maybe less, right? Because you're not going to announce it immediately. But imagine for like 7 months, quote unquote pretending to be pregnant and putting on this fake prosthetic belly, according to the theorists, and acting pregnant. For what? I mean, I can understand that there's a personal element in terms of admitting that you can't get pregnant. For a lot of women, it's a hard thing to talk about, blah, blah, blah. There are plenty of rational explanations. That being said, that's what makes this all the more odd, is why wouldn't they have used one of these rational explanations? Again, this is according to the conspiracy theorists. Why wouldn't you just say, hey, I couldn't get pregnant, we used a surrogate, we adopted, any other option? Why wouldn't you just admit to that? Which, like I said, then leads down the path of what else are they lying about? Then they start doubting things about Harry, and then it goes back to Diana, and there's a lot to be said about Princess Diana, which I'm not going to get into, but you see, it's like connecting conspiracy to conspiracy. Some of the conspiracies I think are more valid than others, like the death of Princess Diana. There's a lot there that is very suspicious. In this particular case, it really just seems like people are looking for something to have an issue with, and I say this as really genuinely not being a fan of either Meghan Markle or Harry. Now, I think there are two things going on here. The main one, I think, is people want to be distracted by something stupid and salacious and drama-like, right? Which, I mean, I'm not going to knock that, because I think everyone in their life at some point has been in a bad place mentally and decided to watch like reality TV in order to just watch something stupid, right? Something you don't have to think about too hard, something you can make fun of. All of these things are kind of what Meghan Markle is being used for. For a lot of these people, it seems like it's a hole they want to fall down to not focus on what's going on in the world, what's going on in their lives, whatever. It's a distraction, right? For some people, it might also be the concept of finding answers and being the first to know something. And that's valid, I suppose, if you consider yourself a truth seeker like a lot of these people do. The other thing, which I think is the most dominant thing, is I think people don't really want to think about what's going on in the world right now. Now, there are plenty of things I can list that fall within those categories. Some of those categories being Israel-Palestine, Russia-Ukraine, what's even going on with Trump and Elon Musk. Just right now on Twitter, Elon is having a meltdown and saying Trump was on the Epstein files. Like, there are plenty of things here that could justify, and I say justify in quotation marks, or explain rather, why this is going on. That being said, I do think that it's starting to look like a mass paranoia and a mass hysteria, because at the end of the day, these are two people who we don't know and who have no real quote-unquote relevance anymore, in the sense of they're not in power. They live in a house in Montecito. Meghan Markle makes her boring-ass show, which, by the way, I've seen episodes of, and that surely does not help her case, because she does not come off as likable at all. Regardless of that, I think that the timing is probably also correlated with, like I said, the With Love Meghan show, because even that show, I watched a couple episodes to see what the big deal was, because I was seeing people dissect it online and how she was rude to a guest, which she was, and how she said thing X or Y. And again, we return to the main point of why does this matter? And I could understand if they were still really within the royal nucleus, let's say, that it would be important. But now these are just basically two rich people for all intents and purposes, right? I found an article discussing this. There are plenty of them, like I showed you the screenshots of. Those were just videos, and those were obviously just the top results. But if you continue to look, there are articles, and it's so funny because they're always very, very clearly biased, which obviously news is almost always going to be biased. But when it's something like this, which is basically just drama, you'd think that some articles would just tell you the facts. Instead, here what we see is really, really intense protectiveness over Meghan, which for the most part I see as being justified, because they think anyone who doubts Meghan Markle is a woman hater or is racist, which I'm sure some of those people are. But also, on the other hand, it could also be that she does come off as unlikable, or a bunch of other things that have nothing to really do with her identity as much as with her personality. Aside from that, conspiracy theorists push bizarre claims that Meghan Markle's baby bump is fake in twerking video that made the world cringe. So this one was interesting because this is one of the only articles that kind of takes both sides, because it's like, oh, crazy conspiracy theorists, but also they admit that the video is cringe, which honestly, it really is. And I mean, as much as I think having videos of those special moments is important, I don't understand the need for celebrities to kind of post everything. But I do think that it speaks to a world that is very focused on relatability. So posting this video of like dancing around to a song in the delivery room because you're just like everyone else, you know, is it really necessary? Do we need to really show everything? Can we not keep anything private and sacred to our families? I guess not. Social media conspiracy theorists have weaponized Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's twerking hospital video to spread wild and groundless speculation that she wasn't pregnant at all and wearing a moon bump. A group of Twitter critics of the Sussexes have made the extraordinary claim that the dancing video was faked and made on a film set or could be AI generated. Meghan yesterday posted a video of her and Prince Harry twerking in a hospital room in an attempt to induce Lilibet's birth. The Duchess of Sussex shared the throwback clip on her Instagram to mark her daughter's 4th birthday, saying there was only one thing left to do when the princess was overdue and spicy food, walking, and acupuncture failed to kickstart labor. But conspiracy theorists have poured over the film in order to make wild and even unhinged claims about her, including that her pregnancy was fake and she wore a prosthetic fake pregnant belly known as a moon bump. Several claimed without credible evidence that her bump was too high or the wrong shape to be real. Others said her ability to dance that way at 9 months meant she was either superhuman or not pregnant at all. Others have sought to back the incredible and baseless claim that the Sussexes used a surrogate by claiming the equipment in the background suggested it was not on a labor ward. So the thing is, some of these people come off as immediately unhinged because they just seem like sock accounts that are made to just follow Meghan Markle's actions, which in and of itself is unhinged in my opinion. No matter what you think of her, making an account dedicated to someone and debunking them is a lot. That being said, there are tweets that are far more credible in terms of if you want to even just slightly lean into the conspiracy or slightly even just consider the possibility that it's true. There are people saying, so I'm in healthcare and I noticed something. She's not a labor and delivery room and I can tell from the back. So that would be potentially convincing if the poster of this wasn't a Twitter user named Meghan El Chisme. So these are all accounts that have a very particular purpose, right? Trolls have also claimed that Meghan would have been wearing a gown and would have had her jewelry removed. Others have questioned why she wasn't hooked up to an IV drip containing induction medication. One person claimed to be a nurse said that she should have had a cannula in her hand. Another alleged that she would not have one fitted while in her own clothes. Some Twitter users crudely marked the pictures with what they considered inaccuracies using childlike scribbles. The video has sparked social media frenzy. In it, Harry's seen coming into view in the camera as Starkeisha's viral Baby Mama song begins to play. So yeah, they just give you a summary of what happens in the video. And then the caption that Meghan wrote on Instagram, 4 years ago today this happened. Both of our children were a week past their due dates. So when spicy food, all that walking, and acupuncture didn't work, there was only one thing left to do, Meghan wrote on her Instagram. The article goes on and it adds details that I really don't think are necessary, like what time everything was posted. I don't really think it has any bearing because we don't even know if Meghan's the one posting. We don't know what the situation was, so it doesn't really matter. That being said, I do think that there are some things here worth noting. And the main thing that I'm noting is that in one way, Meghan can't win because I think everything she posts is always doubted. On the other hand, I also think that she is potentially using this to capitalize upon it, right? Because at the end of the day, Meghan now has her clothes business, or like where she sells or resells the baby clothes. She sells her jars of jam that cost a mortgage. So, I mean, realistically, being in the news is going to be in your favor. The thing is that it's consistently at her own and Harry's expense. So it's my theory here actually is that she knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly that she's going to be doubted, and she's hoping that that's going to translate into some kind of financial monetary gain from whatever thing she's selling this week. But I do think, on the other hand, that if we speak about long-term consequences, first of all, this is going to take a toll on you mentally because this is exhausting even for me, and I'm not even part of this. Just seeing this shit on my timeline consistently is not it for me. But aside from that, it's also like, okay, your kids, when they're older and they see this stuff, or even just like for the royal family, like what is this all really, really for? And for me, the bottom line is it's about money, right? Because Meghan Markle could easily avoid scandal by posting pictures that do not have any type of implication. For example, if she posted a picture of Lilibet, I'm sure plenty of people would have their own theories of it doesn't look like her or whatever. But other than that, what else can you really say? On the contrary, you know full well that posting a video of you at 9 months pregnant, or with your pregnancy even being late, without a hospital gown, without being hooked up to an IV, wearing jewelry, in a place that barely looks like a hospital, twerking, you know exactly what you're doing. And that's the thing that pisses me off, is when there's after a shock or a shocked Meghan Markle on her show with Love Meghan, you know, saying how hard things are for her, or how, you know, she was so surprised about things happening. And it's like, well, none of this is surprising. This is all extremely calculated. And I think the conspiracy lies within what that calculation is for. And like I said, I think that's money. Anyway, that's just me. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.